Eagles. Eagles.
It's game day, everybody, in the city of brotherly love. The battle for Pennsylvania will commence in about an hour and 10 minutes. Coming up here for Eagles-Steelers. Eagles are sitting at 11-2. Steelers are 10-3. A great football game today. Welcome in, everybody, to the JAKIB Pregame Show. I'm Zander Krause, your host. That's Dan Sileo, host of the National Football Show and a legend at Miami, a 1987 national champion. We'll be joined in about 15 to 17 minutes by John McMullen, live from Lincoln Financial Field. Big Sills, Week 15 game day. How you doing, brother?
Absolutely fabulous. And I think this is going to be a heck of a football game. I mean, look, everyone's going to be circling that Detroit Lions and Buffalo Bills game, but I think this is right there with that football game, man. As you're seeing now, we're starting to get close to now looking at the Xander. I would say this: Kansas City, Buffalo in the AFC, and you would say Detroit and Philly are in the NFC. These are the best four teams, in my opinion, right now. And as you move closer towards the finish of the season here, we say this every week. This is going to be about the war of attrition. And by the way, here's Pittsburgh. They're sitting at 10-3.
Yep.
They're right there for a great opportunity to be in the two-hole here if they continue to win out as well. So this is a big game for them. This is a game for the Eagles, for them to stay close to Detroit because, again, Detroit's got a big ball game. Monday, Xander, these two teams could have the same identical record. Obviously, Detroit right now would still have the advantage, but a lot of football to be played yet. They got Minnesota and Green Bay on that schedule. So This is a pretty big ball game heading into this game here. And Pittsburgh has been playing great football. Look, I'll tell you what, man. Mike Tomlin is the best coach in football that you want to play for. I mean, he every year, you talk about Nick Sirianni and what he's done with the consistency of winning. I'd like to have 17, 18 years of consistent winning the way Mike Tomlin has won. That talks about true culture right there.
Yep, no doubt about it. Should be a great game today. A lot of things, to break down with this game. Will the Eagles try to potentially overcorrect what they were talking about earlier in the week in the passing game? We'll talk about that. It's a cold weather day today, Big So. Something I want to ask you about that's now sweeping, getting a lot of hits here that we didn't know about. We kind of knew about it, but we didn't really know about it. Jalen Hurts arrived to the stadium today with a finger brace on his non-throwing hand. It looks like his ring finger on his left hand.
It's called a soft brace.
Right, and I guess he has a broken finger. A lot of people will say, hey, it's not his throwing hand. It shouldn't be an impact. But listen, you got TJ Watt you're going up against, who is a menace in creating sacks. It's a cold weather game. Could that have any impact today? You got to keep your eye on that, I think.
Remember, though, what idiots, when I posted that on the internet, Xander, most important thing you have with your hand is a snap.
Right.
And that is where you take the football under center, and when he snaps it back, that's why it's a factor. It's not a throwing factor, Xander. It's a snap factor, which means the snap between the center and the quarterback. If you're Hayward or you're anybody, what is Mike Tomlin going to make sure he does?
He's going to
put a guy over that nose, and they're going to test that out right away. You can always tell buffoons who don't understand. It doesn't have anything to do with the effing passing. It has everything to do because look, here's the top hand. The ball comes up and hits that. That's what they're talking about. And then you come up and you put it like this where you secure it. This is the concern for the Eagles in this is turnovers on snap exchange. That's what the big issue is.
Well, I'm sure they'll be in a lot of shotgun, probably even more so, maybe because of that. So it's a good point by you. That non-throwing hand is big when you're taking the snap, as pointed out by you.
Yeah, but now if you have me in shotgun, guess what I'm doing if I'm TJ? I'm off to the races, baby, because most of those are going to come, and you're giving me an opportunity to know that you're going to be passing the ball, especially now you can't go no backs.
It's true. Should be now. So obviously the big talking point coming into this game. Good stuff there, by the way. Russell Wilson 6-0 versus the Birds. They haven't won in Philly since 1965. Something's got to give today. There's another trend out there. The Steelers defense has created turnovers in 4 straight games. Jalen Hurts has gone 4 straight games without an interception. Something's got to give there. Maybe one of the streaks breaking there. But really, the thing I'm focused on is, will the Birds try and overcorrect today? And the old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, Big Sills. Well, the passing game is the squeaky wheel right now. Will they try and overcorrect? And what I think is a game where you double down on the running game. It's a cold weather game versus a gritty Steelers. Run it down their throats. That's what I would be doing. Will the Eagles try and overcorrect, in your opinion, in the past?
Man, it would be such a poor coaching move. Like Zander, you and me had a spirited debate last week on Kellen Moore and whether or not his impact has been important or not to the Eagle offense. So why would I overcorrect by making sure somebody got touches when nobody has stopped this remedy and they have not stopped this recipe? Dude, like you said, this is a football game where you should be able to take care of. Now, look, here's the thing that the Steelers have going into this game, okay? Number 1 in time of possession, and they're number 1 in turnovers in the NFL. That is a remedy to stop great offenses. You keep that offense on the side, and you don't give them any. Let me tell you what, the Steelers are looking to try to keep the Eagles under 60 snaps. You keep them under 60 snaps, the Steelers win that ball game because they're going to take care of the football. I really don't see a lot of offensive skilled guys when it comes to like the passing game. So to me, this is going to be a lot of Najee Harris. This is going to be an old school football game, I think, by both teams, Xander. The passing game for the Eagles, why would I want to get that going in a game like this? Why? When, quite frankly, to me, it's about what's more important to you, getting AJ going or staying close to Detroit right now?
It's true. It's a good point by you. And this is going to be the last game. Well, not the last game, but this is going to be a big game. If you want to get that 1 seed, Sills, you better win today. Because if you lose this game, you're most likely not going to catch Detroit.
Especially if Detroit takes care of business today with
exactly.
Buffalo.
If Detroit takes care of business today versus, obviously they have a big matchup versus the Buffalo Bills. I believe it's the same time slot as the Eagles game. And we can't get by the Steelers. That 1 seed is going to be all but gone. So it is going to be interesting to see how the Birds, approach this game. I want to talk about Jalen Hurts a little bit, Big Sills. It was reported today on the NFL Countdown show or the Game Day show, whatever it is, that there was a team meeting that commenced this week. Brandon Graham spoke. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts dapped each other up in front of the team. Whatever you want to make of that. What do you expect to see from Jalen Hurts today? Look, there's questions are there, but he's 45-19 as a starter for this team. He wins a lot of football games, a lot more than he loses football games. And here's a quick streak I'll give everybody. He'll be just the 5th quarterback since 1950 with at least 3 career winning streaks of 10 games or more if he wins today. That'll be joining John Elway, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Patrick Mahomes. That's a good list to be a part of right there, Big Sills. What do you expect to see from the quarterback today?
It's funny. Did any of those quarterbacks ever have questions from their wide receivers that you just mentioned? John Elway, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Can you ever remember wide receivers questioning the passing game? Do you ever remember that?
Well, different styles of quarterback, certainly. I mean, no, I don't.
Well. I mean, you're still being questioned. Okay, why are there question marks on whether or not the quarterback right now and is a good enough efficient passer in the passing game? Hey, look, people keep giving me the QBR. Like I said, Jameis Winston's ranked ahead of him. Why are there questions then on whether or not this guy? I mean, you're naming me Tom Brady, all-time leading passer in NFL history.
Right.
Peyton Manning, your second all-time leading passer in NFL history. And you're talking about some of the greatest quarterbacks that have ever played. And yet why those guys were never questioned whether or not they were – and those guys, like you said, they won a ton of ball games too. But do you ever remember Peyton Manning and Tom Brady being questioned on whether or not he was the missing or the weakest link in the huddle? I don't ever remember
that. Just feels the consistency, because it would be foolish to say we've never seen Hurts do it. Hurts has made big throws in big moments, but
he hasn't been consistently. I have never seen.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's the consistency of where people, you don't see it consistently playing and play out with Jalen. And John talks about this all the time. He's a resilient player. He could be playing his worst game, and then he'll come back in the fourth quarter with a huge fourth quarter to get the win. I think it's the consistency that lacks, and I think they'll be looking to fix that today. Obviously versus this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, Sills, is no joke. Cam Hayward, Highsmith, T.J. Watt, I mean, they got some dudes who are going to be coming. This is not a day, Sills, for Jalen Hurts to hold on to that ball for 4 seconds. You're going to get stripped. You're going to get sacked.
And like Sal Palantonio pointed out with Pat on his show, I mean, you're talking about a guy who holds on to the football longer than almost anybody in the National Football League now. He's got 35 sacks and 300 attempts, 325 to be exact. And you're looking at a guy like Josh Allen, who's got 400 snaps and 13 sacks. He knows where to go with the ball in pre-snap read. That's, again, it's funny. You bring that stat up with all those guys' names. I just don't see that when it comes. I see the winning. It's on display every Sunday. But when you name those quarterbacks and then you put Hurts in that conversation, he's the weakest of all that. I just don't see it. And like you said, Zander, we keep doing this. 2022 and the Super Bowl. Well, what about in between that since then? How has that been? And how does that look right now? I don't know. You're going against a great coached football team in Mike Tomlin. And one more time, I'll say it again to you. I've never seen, and I'll use M. Reyes' thing, I've never seen an 11-2 quarterback questioned more so than Jalen Hurts and his leadership abilities and also his ability in the pocket. He's constantly questioned. And I've never seen an elite guy ever questioned like him.
It is a lot of questioning on Jalen Hurts. Yale Roth checks in with $10. Thanks, guys.
You,
Merry
Roth.
Christmas and happy holidays to all. Yeah, that's really dope, man. Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays to everybody here in JAKIB Land. We're working on a big giveaway, as many of you know. I got a lot of the stuff, Sills. It's now in the studio. I'm going to be showing some of that off later today. Looking forward to doing that. So big Merry Christmas, happy holidays, whatever it is you celebrate. We love you, and we appreciate your support here on JAKIB Sports. Good stuff. Sills, let's talk about Saquon Barkley, man. He is hunting down Eric Dickerson's 2106. Is it 2106 is the number?
2105.
2105 is the number. And Saquon Barkley is up to 1623, closing in on that 2,000-yard marker. Will they give it? Well, will they ride Saquon to the finish line today, Sills, like they have all year?
I think in the best interest of the football team, they don't get that record. And here's why. Because of the conversation that they had all week long over touches and targets. Right now, who's the one guy who's acted the most professional this entire week? It has been Saquon Barkley. Look, man, I got to tell you, I didn't realize how great a player he was, but I also didn't realize what an absolutely great leader that this guy's turning out to be.
Yeah.
One thing about, again, the quietest guy in the room was Saquon Barkley all week. And this all was about him because of the shine that he has been getting, because of the MVP conversation. And here he is. He's quiet. Get this. Usually the quietest guy in the room is usually the strongest guy in the room. And that's what really came off to me this week about Barkley. I didn't hear shit about him saying anything. And by the way, Nick said, I'm sure John was there. Nick said it on Wednesday. They've put this thing behind him. Well, we're going to find out today.
We'll see what happens. We got John McMullen from the stadium. He'll be joining us in just a second. Sills, I got one more question for you before we go to John. Russell Wilson today. He's 6-0 versus the Birds, including one playoff win, obviously, the famous playoff game where Jadeveon Clowney knocked Carson Wentz out of that game. What do you see today going up against Russell? What's the best plan of attack? Is it get him off his spot? What do you think for the Eagles today? What's the key to slowing him down today?
In my opinion is you got to stop that run game. Make sure Najee Harris doesn't get off. Don't let Najee Harris start getting between 3 and 5 yards a carry because that's going to create play action. I'll say this to you about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a great play action quarterback. And when he moves around, now back when he was in his Seattle days, he moved out in the perimeter a lot like Aaron Rodgers did. Okay? Make him a pocket passer. Make him sit back there. Make him have to try to beat you. Listen, man, those wide receivers, no George Pickens
right
today. You got B students out there. Can those B students beat the A students that the Eagles have in Vic Fangio? I don't think so, okay? The key, in my opinion, for the Steelers today, don't let Najee Harris get going because if Harris gets going, that's when Wilson is able to spread the ball around and use his wheels.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think that's a good point there. We'll see if Jordan Davis can slow that running down. Let's go to John McMullen, live from Lincoln Financial Field for the Pennsylvania Bowl today. Johnny Mac, welcome to the pregame show, my man. How you doing on this game day Sunday, week 15, brother?
Yeah. Happy PA State Championship game, as Mike Tomlin coined it. So, yeah, good game, two good teams. Very late in the season, you got two games today. You have Buffalo playing Detroit. Also, 10-win teams against 10-win teams, which is rare that you have two of those on the same week. So, yeah, 425 game. This is one of the biggest games of the week.
John, let me ask you real quick about the injury. Jalen Hurts walked in with a little cast on the left hand's finger. What do you make of it? Will it be any impact today? Obviously, you're going up against TJ Watt, who's a total ball hawk, loves knocking that ball out. Any impact on the game today, or a big nothing burger? The cast on the finger.
Well, there's the potential. Now, Jalen had been on the injury report all week, so it's known he's been dealing with a finger injury. The difference today, Ian Rappaport kind of said apparently a broken finger. Whether apparently means he confirmed it or not, I can't tell you, but he's been dealing with it. He's been on the injury report, so we've known about it, but he's been a full participant. So the fact it's on his non-throwing hand obviously is very good. But when you think about ball handling, when you think about RPOs, when you think about that kind of stuff, anytime you have a broken finger, it could be an issue. So it's something to keep an eye on. But he has been a full participant in practice all week. So there's no concern about him not playing or anything of that nature.
Hey, John, the only concern I would have is on the snap, because that's his top hand. When the ball hits his top hand, that center quarterback exchange, if I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm going to put a guy on the nose right over that, and I'm going to test that out right away to see what kind of shape that's in. Like you said, it's not going to affect them in the passing game. But anytime that you have any kind of injury like that in your hand, especially on the snap, if they are under center now, that's going to limit that, I think, a little bit from them being under center even more so.
Yeah, and they might even do a little bit. Remember, they don't get under center a lot. And basically, all they do it is, touch-push type situations. So, ball handling, yeah, that's sort of what I was saying. So maybe that changes things a little bit, and they won't do it as often. But as I said, they don't do it that often anyway. And you just go to a little more gun if you need to, or a little more pistol. So shouldn't be that big of an issue. But, anytime you have that kind of deal, you have to wait and see how it develops. And if he's got trouble doing certain things when it comes to the ball handling aspect, you'll probably know pretty early in the game.
John, you think the Eagles will overcorrect today after the drama of the week? You're coming in versus Steelers. I think it's a great game to hand it off to Saquon Barkley, but with everything that ensued this week, is an overcorrection in order today for the Eagles? They typically do that, and I don't know if it's the right game to do it. How do you see it playing out today?
No, I don't think they're going to overcorrect. I think, the emphasis on the passing game and trying to get the passing game right, which has been going on for many weeks now, long before any of this started, it's got more to do with efficiency when you throw the football, not throwing it more. They want to keep Jalen Hurts at 25 to 30 throws at the most. They don't want him over that number. So that's not going to change. But what needs to change is the effectiveness of when they do throw the football, which has not been there the past 2 weeks, and it's really taken a drastic downturn the previous 2 weeks. So is this the week to get it going? Probably not on paper, but like I said, I find it very hard to believe, even against the best front seven in football, and I think the Steelers have the best front seven in football. I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last week against Carolina, simply because it's tough to be worse than they were last week against Carolina.
John, how do you go up against? You're going up against TJ Watt, Cam Hayward today, out Highsmith. They got a mean defensive line. I know you always give the slight edge to the Eagles' offensive line, and I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt there. But this is not a game for Hurts to be holding on to that ball for 3+4 seconds in there, because he will get sacked, and the sacks might not just be sacks; they could be fumbles too. How do you stop? How do you game plan for game wreckers like that?
Well, I think, Jalen himself acknowledged he's probably been holding on to the football a little bit too much this week. So hopefully that's starting to seep in because, yeah, I mean, TJ Watt's the kind of guy, even with an offensive line like the Eagles, he's a player that's going to make plays. So there's going to be a couple times where he's in the backfield and you have to be very ball security conscious because nobody turns over the football better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, when Nick Sirianni was asked about that this week, he started with TJ Watt, number 90, and then he went to Minka Fitzpatrick in the secondary. Those are the two guys that sort of fuel the Pittsburgh Steelers' ability to take the football away. And, when it comes to turnover ratio, they are plus 17. Plus 17. So they do a tremendous job at that. And Jalen's got to be hyper aware that those guys are coming, especially if he holds on to the football. And with TJ specifically, TJ Watt, you saw it earlier in the season. I forget the player who came back after Jalen Hurts sort of stepped up in the pocket. And that's what Nick Sirianni said about TJ Watt. He's got a great GPS, he called it. Even if he's running by you, he's going to trace back and he's going to be there quickly. So you have to be hyper aware of taking care of that football at all times when he's on the field.
John, don't you concern yourself in a game like this when you're number one in time of possession and what you were just hitting on, they're number one in turnovers. You're going to be limited in a game like this when it comes to possessions because nobody has scored more than 20 points on the Steelers this year. They're great at points against. They're great at time of possession. And like you just said again, they're great on turnovers. That first quarter stumbling around, I mean, you don't want to get behind the sticks with a team like Pittsburgh because you're going to be limited to maybe 9 or 10 possessions in this football game. And you're not going to have a lot of opportunities. So you can't start slow in this game against them and fumble around and give a quarter away.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Eagles have been a bad first quarter team this season, no question about it. They've been able to persevere. I don't think, the Steelers are the kind of explosive offense that's going to run away from you, especially without George Pickens. He's their one sort of explosive deep threat that you concern yourself with. Other than that, they're pretty, when it comes to playmakers, pretty pedestrian group, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I don't look at this team and say, all right, they're going to score a lot of points. So I just don't think they're equipped to play that type of game where even if they get off to a quick start, the Eagles are going to be out of it because they're not going to score a ton of points typically, and especially without Pickens. And I heard you mention Najee Harris. He's a very good running back, but he's more in the Chuba Hubbard mode. He's under 4 yards a carry. He's not Saquon Barkley. He's not going to hit home runs. So he's more of a chain mover type. And then you have some good tight ends. But, again, they're not going to stretch the field. They're not going to threaten the Eagles over the top. So they have to stay ahead of the sticks themselves. They have to be on schedule. If they sort of get a false start or a holding penalty, that's probably going to kill drives for them as well. Because they're not explosive offensively. So I think that part of it might take care of itself.
John, you would agree, though, right? This is going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, it could be. And it's a pretty cold day here in South Philadelphia. Not crazy, but anytime you have weather factoring in, and, if it is a close game, the one advantage. And unfortunately, for many years, the Eagles could put up their field goal kicker against anybody. Not today. Jake Elliott's having a very poor season. Chris Boswell's maybe the best kicker in the NFL. If he's not, he's in the conversation. He's used to kicking in bad weather, tremendously consistent. So Pittsburgh probably has the edge there.
John, early today on Fox NFL show coming into the games today, Jay Glazer reported a team meeting where AJ and Jalen shook hands in front of everybody, and Brandon Graham publicly apologized. Is this going to become a thing that potentially the Eagles a rallying cry for them to kind of get behind each other and use it as a positive movement after all the drama this week? Is there anything else you can tell us about that meeting that the Eagles had this week?
I would say rallying cry from what? Saying stupid shit, self-inflicted wounds. Yeah, I mean, this was completely self-inflicted. So I don't know how that's a rallying cry. Now, the old Doug Peterson, us versus them card, I think they're trying to pull it out again. We didn't do this. The media didn't do this.
I know. It's so funny.
This is all Brandon Graham. This is all A.J. Brown. This is all Jalen Hurts. So it's all self-inflicted. But, what I used to say with Doug is, hey, if it works, use it. If you can sell that and it works, feel free to use it. But as a rallying cry, what are they rallying?
Hey, John, I feel like I'm in high school. I'm getting ready. Hey, come on, coach. Yeah. I mean, rally. I mean, look.
We're talking about a team that collapsed at the end of last year. I know they don't think it's not this year, but that's in the back of everybody's minds. They want to continue to be a unit.
Zander, John, you know what I don't understand? What are you bitching about? You won 9 in a row. You're 11-2. And what is this about? This is about ego.
Hey, the passing game stinks.
He's the big John. Barkley's getting all the love and I'm not. And you're like, wait a minute, man. Surely there's more maturity in the locker room than that. You're 11-2. You've got 9 wins in a row. What are the Eagles talking about? John, last week I thought we were talking about a 5-win Eagle team. We're talking about a team that's 11-2, talking about high school shit.
Well, I agree whether AJ is getting along with Jalen or vice versa, the high school shit part of it. But as far as the passing game, that's legitimate. I mean, to go where they have to go, they might not need it to beat Carolina. They might not need it to win in the regular season. But ultimately, if they want to go where they want to go, and we all know where that ends, New Orleans, they're going to have to get better in the passing game. And that's all that it's about. It's about getting better to the point where you can deal with Detroit, or if Green Bay gets hot on a particular game day, or if Minnesota gets hot on a particular game day, so you can deal with those teams if you have to win a shootout. If you don't have to win a shootout, great. Well, you're probably at some point going to run into that type of game. And right now, the Eagles' passing game doesn't look equipped to handle it. And that was sort of AJ's mindset is, let's fix it now while we can. And Jalen Hurts, I've said, I wrote about it on Sports Illustrated. I said, they're actually on the same page from a football standpoint. Jalen Hurts was talking about the passing game last week and said, sometimes it doesn't get you till it gets you. Talking about, that potential down the road. So they're actually on the same page as far as understanding that this passing game needs to improve. And for those who doesn't think it needs to improve, everybody from Devontae Smith to A.J. Brown to Nick Sirianni to Jalen Hurts, everybody said it does need to improve.
Speaking of the passing game, the other guy who's not in the passing game is in the running game. Saquon Barkley's been lighting the league on fire, John. He's up to 1623 on the season, closing in on that 2,000-yard mark, and he needs 120 a game to eclipse Eric Dickerson. What kind of impact do you think he has today, and will he get over that 120 number and really over the 125 number so we can give away another jersey here on JAKIB?
This is a game where, they'll try to run it, try to feel out Pittsburgh. But obviously, as I said, Pittsburgh, might have the best front seven in football. Cam Hayward's having a tremendous year. Saquon's going to get his. It's just a matter of it's 90 versus 125 versus 175. And obviously, this is a team that's better equipped to keep him at least somewhat under control than most. But again, all games have personalities, and certainly that's the strength of the Eagles' offense right now because they haven't been able to throw the football. So they need, at this point, Saquon Barkley to have 125 yards or more. And that might be the tale. Like, how good does Pittsburgh do trying to stop Saquon Barkley?
I would say this to me, Zander. I think they are going to do a great job on Barkley today. I think the key, in my opinion, is going to be how well the RPOs come off with Jalen Hurts today. And if Jalen can give them 60, 70 yards rushing, I think that could be the difference in the ball game here. Because to sit here and say that I believe that Saquon Barkley is going to go for 150 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers front seven, no way. But I do believe that they could get combined somewhere up near 180, combined with Jalen Hurts and also with Saquon Barkley. I think they could get up near there. I really do believe, like John said, I think you're going to have to make plays in the passing game, and I think Hurts is going to have to make some plays with his wheels because Pittsburgh is not explosive. But the one thing they're explosive on defense. They make turnovers and turn turnovers over, and what they'll do is they want a four-quarter football game. So, like to John's point, they're not going to score a ton of points. They want a fourth-quarter game. They want to do exactly what the Panthers did last week. Give me the last opportunity to win the football game against them, and let's keep this score under 42 points combined, and let's see if we can make it a four-quarter football game.
Yeah, and they give up 91.5 yards per game on the ground. So, the Steelers. So if the Eagles get to 180, they're probably going to win the game.
Yep.
If the Eagles get to 120, that's probably a good job by Pittsburgh. So, if they can double that, the Eagles are doing a hell of a job.
John, will Jake Elliott get back on track today? He's playing. Chris Boswell is the Pittsburgh kicker. I know we mentioned him a little earlier in the segment, but he's been money, and Jake Elliott, who's supposed to be money, has not been money. And in a cold weather day in December in Philly, it could be a big impact. Do you think Jake Elliott turns around today? And maybe more importantly, John, will Nick Sirianni have the confidence in Jake Elliott to give him the opportunities?
Well, I think the first try he will, and then it'll depend on what Jake does with it. And, but I don't like this matchup. If it comes down to a kick, I'm taking the Steelers.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Boswell is 11 of 13 from 50 yards plus this season. Jake Elliott's over 5. Chris Boswell is 137 points. He's made 36 of 39 field goals. He might be the best kicker in the league. So, yeah, if it comes down to a field goal, I think I'd be much more comfortable with Chris Boswell than Jake Elliott right now.
How about this, John? Do you think that Jake Elliott has taken away some of Nick Sirianni's aggressiveness on what you always told me? That's who they are. They're an aggressive team. I mean, push, and Jake Elliott has afforded that team, right? The aggressiveness. Have we seen a little bit that tailored back because of the ineffectiveness of Elliott on why he's not as effective?
We saw it last week against Carolina. I mean, they had a 54-yard field goal to win the game, essentially, and Nick decided to punt. Not only that, he went through all the hoops to try to draw him offside, then to take the delay a game, to make it easier for Braden Mann to pin him back, which, by the way, Braden Mann did a tremendous job, Avonte Maddox as well. But that's not the way the Philadelphia Eagles play. That was completely tied to no confidence in Jake Elliott to kick that 54-yard field goal in the big spot. You go to 2021, 2022, 2023, that's not even a decision for it. That's not even a question. You just trot Jake Elliott on the field, kick the field goal. So, yeah, it has affected Nick Sirianni's thinking as a head coach, and that's not a good thing.
Johnny Mac, something just came out from the stadium I got to ask you about. Howie Roseman today appeared with Joe Douglas on the sideline. What's your reaction to that, and what the hell does that mean?
Doesn't mean that much. I mean, the Eagles, I mean, Joe and Howie had a very good relationship. The Eagles have a history of bringing in consultants. They have a history of bringing in guys with a lot of experience to help. They do it all the time. They brought in Dave Caldwell. They brought in Matt Russell, who are now parts of the organization, but they first came in as consultants. So wouldn't be surprised if Joe's helping out or just Joe stopping by. They do it all the time. Even in training camp, they bring in former executives. Steve Keim, the former Arizona GM, came in. Vic Fangio was here first as a sort of consultant or during training camp. And then he gave him an actual consulting job, a 2-week job en route to the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden, he's the defensive coordinator a couple of years later. So they do this all the time.
Well, I would say this about Joe. Joe's not awful when it comes to just cutting up and looking at game tape on personnel either, too, John. I mean, the one issue I had with him was the quarterback issue he never got right between either Zach Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. It never just landed right, and that had a lot to do with the owner. But when it came to personnel decisions, the running back, the receiver, Sauce Gardner, building some things, again, the firing of the head coach, that all comes through Woody. But, I mean, you want to give Joe some kudos here saying this. I mean, he's kind of like John Dorsey in a way. I mean, John Dorsey has an eye for talent.
They brought John Dorsey in. Yeah, John
Dorsey has an eye for talent, but I don't know if he can run an organization or not. But that's kind of where Joe is too. I mean, they flubbed up the whole Hassan Reddick deal at the end of the day, obviously. Maybe both parties did to some extent. But, I mean –
and by the way, and let me also add, Joe lives down by the shore. It could be just he's close. And by the way, Andy Weidel is the Steelers assistant GM, and they're good friends. So maybe Andy invited him. Could be a host of things. But, yeah, there's a lot of, Andy Weidel was Joe's right-hand man. He got promoted. So he's got a lot of history with both of these organizations as far as the people in the organization. So, NFL people hang out with NFL people.
Yep.
Johnny Mac, last question, man. Just the inactive update. What's the update on the inactives for the Eagles coming into this game?
The usual suspects: Tanner McKee, Britton Covey's the only injured player. He was rolled out on Friday. Johnny Wilson's active, so he was downgraded to questionable. Then you have Eli Ricks, Nick Gates, Darren Kennard, Trevor Keegan, as I said, the normal inactives. Nothing special from the Eagles' standpoint. Steelers, of course, much more George Pickens, number one, and also Deshaun Elliott, who was their starting safety opposite Minkah Fitzpatrick is not playing. So much more of a deal on the Pittsburgh side than the Eagles side. The Eagles are very healthy. All 53 players on the active roster practiced this week. And they're just being cautious with Britton Covey. He'll be back next week. So much injury-wise, much bigger deal for Pittsburgh than the Eagles.
Good stuff, Johnny Mac. We'll catch you on the halftime show and after the game, brother. Appreciate you joining on pregame.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, good stuff there from Johnny Mac joining us live from Lincoln Financial Field. Getting ready to kick off a big one today, Big Sills. Eagles.
Who did he pick on Friday? Who did he take on Friday?
John took the Eagles on Friday. We forgot to get his prediction here on the show. He did give it on Friday. He had the Eagles winning the game on Friday.
Okay, so John's got the Eagles in a close one?
It was a very close one, and it was low scoring. I can't remember the score. If somebody was a Birds 365 watcher on Friday, please drop it in the comments. Forgive me for not writing it down. I normally write it down, but I was all over the place on the Friday show, and I didn't write it down. But that's where we're going, Sills. We got 18 minutes left on the show today. What's the general feeling in the air, Sills? I think it's a Pennsylvania Bowl. It's a cold Sunday in December. I'm feeling good, Big Sills. I'm feeling like 10 straight wins is on the horizon for the Bears.
Let me ask you this. If you're getting ready for a ball game like this and you had to walk into a locker room and you wanted to be completely motivated to win a football game, In one aspect, I walk into Nick Sirianni's locker room, and I hear Nick Sirianni talk, and I'm hearing him give me his world of magic and how he sees shit through his kaleidoscope, and I'm listening, and I'm like, okay, coach. Then I walk over to Mike Tomlin's locker room, and I walk into that dude's locker room, and I just feel this. And I feel like this, and I'm hearing this, and I'm like, Mike Tomlin has got me up on my cheekbones. I'm sitting here listening to him. Let me ask you something. If you had to go into battle with a general, is it going to be that guy over there, Nick Sirianni? Or are you going to look over there at Mike Tomlin and go like this? What field general do you feel confident when you have to go into shores of Dunkirk, or you've got to go to Normandy, or you got to go anything like that and walk onto a beach? What guy do you want planting the flag that MacArthur would plant there in the Philippines? Where do you want? Who do you want? Sirianni or Tomlin?
Can I get Sirianni as, or can I get Tomlin as my general? But I need my soldiers to be the guys on the Eagles roster, because I think we got a better roster than Pittsburgh. But I can't disagree that I might go with Tomlin in that situation, Big Sills.
So I see you want to take the platoon away from Sirianni and give it to Tomlin and go, all right, now I'm really feeling here.
Now I'm cooking, baby.
Yeah.
Now we're cooking.
I like the stuff that Mike Tomlin throws firewood on things. Oh, it's a battle for Philly. Listen, you really think, or it's a battle for PA, you really think any of those players are like, hey, man, it's really the battle for Pennsylvania like you were at Auburn, Alabama? I don't think they think
battle
like that.
PA, come on.
Okay.
Anybody that knows Pittsburgh knows that Pittsburgh has no chance at being the kings of Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is the king of Pennsylvania.
Hey,
everybody
who do you think has a louder fan base? Philly or Steelers?
Eagles.
I've seen the Steelers at SoFi and take that bitch over too, just like Philly.
Yeah, like we've never taken over.
I didn't say that. No, I'm just saying, hey, dude, that Steeler fan base.
Oh, they're good. They're probably top 3, top 5 in the NFL fan base wise.
But isn't Pennsylvania great for football, period? High school, college. Right?
Pennsylvania is great for football. It's a great point by you. It really is a good state for football. Obviously, St. Joe's Prep. Let's go. My alma mater. Love St. Joe's Prep. They won the state. And Eagles. I think the Eagles will win today's state NFL bowl between the Steelers and the Birds. Who are you feeling right now? On Friday, Sills, you predicted the Eagles. But the more I look at you through the screen today, I'm sensing there's some big Sills skullduggery incoming on the end of the pregame show here.
I had an epiphany.
Uh-oh.
Okay? As I was sitting on my throne on Saturday, I was pontificating and thinking to myself, I picked the Eagles on Friday, 24-23.
I think that's what John picked.
And I said, do I hang with that? Or is the Mike Tomlin factor? How come I look at Mike Tomlin and I go, he's going to win. And I look at Nick Sirianni and I go, that's a guy with a royal flush that folds if he's in a card game. So I may have to do something here. Excuse me for a moment here. Minus this, minus that. That is their advantage. This is that advantage. It's in Philly, so they get this. So I'm going to say this one more time here. 24-21 Steelers.
No, you're not doing that on me. No, I'm not allowing that bullshit. You came in, we talked pre-show on Friday, and you said, I like the Eagles in this game, man. I've liked them all week. Now it's Sunday, and you're going villain on me. You're strapping on the villain mask.
I think the Steelers are ready to win this game.
Oh, God.
I do.
Who?
What?
Who they throwing the ball to today?
Who are you throwing the ball to today?
A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
Oh, because that's worked. Wait a minute. Get this.
Did you forget about
you know what's
Saquon
even
Barkley?
more remarkable? If Russell Wilson even had remotely any one of these, hey, my God Almighty, will this be an absolutely great indictment on finally the ultimate indictment on Jalen Hurts? If Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin and Mike Williams beats the Eagles today, and you have A.J. Brown, and you have, you talked me into it.
I talked you into this.
Yes.
You're taking the steal. So you're just admitting that you're going to be wrong already. It's 3:48. The game hasn't even kicked off yet.
I'm going to land on the Steelers today.
You must really like to taste the crow. It must be really good for you.
I didn't have a taste of crow all week. That's for dang sure. Hey, boy, how come I'm not getting touches?
I'm going to need to get a new chef in here for this crow because it's not tasting shitty enough. Sileo you can't get it. He's a glutton for punishment when it comes to picking against the Eagles this year.
No. I got it. I you know what? You talked me into it.
And how did I do that?
You talked me into it because you started talking about this infamous passing game that you don't have. You don't have a passing game.
I've been ripping this passing game all year.
Right. So how it is it? So you're lining up your running game versus the Steeler running game and the Steeler defense, and you're picking the Philadelphia Eagles, and you're okay to me. Okay,
I'm a Bama guy, but I think Najee Harris is a little overrated. I mean,
I think your defense is a tad bit overrated.
Oh, I think you could be right about that. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago where I said, that defense is going to have to hold strong in order for this team to go the distance, especially if they're going to play this way. Defense has to maintain being number one. Will they do that? I don't know. It's a tough thing to do, but right now they showed me no reason to doubt that. You always say I need to see it. Well, I've seen it from the Eagles defense a lot more than I haven't seen it.
I've seen it all year long by the Pittsburgh Steelers defense too. I mean, I see them number one in turnovers, and I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah, how about that turnover differential?
The thing that really, again, I like about this Steeler team is you have the number one dynamic that helps you win Super Bowls. You hold the ball longer than anyone else, and you turn turnovers. When are you going to learn, old man? When are you going to learn, M. Reyes? Big Sills is never wrong. I've been right about your boy the whole time. Right, Pumper?
Speaking of the man, the myth, the legend, Brian Pumper, big thanks to anybody who drops a super chat. Yale gave us a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays earlier. Thank you, Yale. Brian checks in and he says, excuses loading. I stand 10 toes down on my takes while the Jalenites have the QBs 10 toes down their throats. You gotta be kidding me.
The Jalenites are back, baby.
I think Pumper. I think you might be an undercover Jalenite.
Hey, Pumper, I'm sorry for letting you down on Friday, but now I've come to my senses again. I must have been stone cold drunk when I picked that thing on Friday because you're right. I mean, especially with the drama. Hey, let me ask you this too, Brian. If the Steelers have the lead in the fourth quarter and AJ's got 3 targets and he hasn't had his targets, you're going to see the whining and whimpering on the sidelines. And it's going to affect Nicky Sirianni and all of his Jalenites. And everyone's going to have an epiphany. Oh, my God, here we are again. We'll see, man. We'll see.
I'm going to stick to my guns, as I usually do, because I'm not a flip-flop McGee like Big Sills. 27-24. I'm taking the Birds today. Everybody.
24. All right.
Listen, Philly Don. He says the crow is in the smoker since this morning. It should be nice and tender for you by the post-game show.
You must be cooking that in a green egg, my friend.
Yeah, he's got the green egg or the Traeger or something. Philly Don, what are you working with over there? All right, here we go. Since you just said something that piqued my interest. You said fourth quarter, you think A.J. Brown's only going to have 3 targets. I think he's going to have 3 targets in the first quarter.
Okay. That's a remedy to lose.
What is your we just gave our predictions, all right? Big Sills is taking what was your final score prediction?
24-21.
Steelers.
Yes.
And I'm going 27-24 Birds in this football game. What is your prediction for A.J. Brown's stat line today?
7 catches, 109, and a TD. Here's Jalen Hurts.
So you're projecting a bounce back.
Yeah, that's why they're going to lose.
Okay, so you think they're going to get too much on the passing game?
Here's what Hurts.
On that route.
Here's Hurts. 18 of 34 for 100, and I've been right on this pretty much.
18 of 34. He's completing 72% of his passes this year. You haven't been right about that once.
I've been right about how many. I've been right about 4601 and 35, Junior. How about this? 18 for 34.
That's a shitty prediction, and you know it. He hasn't completed 50% of his passes once this year.
18 to 34, 147, 1 touchdown and 3 picks, and he's going to have 45 yards rushing. And here's Russell Wilson's numbers. Russell Wilson is going to be 20 of 26 for 221 yards and 3 TDs, and Harris is going to go for 118.
Man, you're a sick dude. You know that? You're a sick dude. What was your yard prediction for Jalen Hurts today?
147 yards passing, 1 touchdown, and here's been his numbers: 108, 113, and 160. Where am I off on that?
All right,
where am I off on that
prediction today?
What?
How many sacks will Hurts take today?
4.
Remember, 4. He had 4.
He takes 3 a game. He takes 3 a game anyway.
Listen to me. Hear me out here. He had 4 last week versus the Panthers, and that team ain't have no T.J. Watt and Highsmith and Cam Hayward on them.
Hey,
all right?
I'm going 4. Okay?
All right.
You know what that'll do, too? Get this. You know what that'll do, too? Hurts will have 40 sacks this year that he would have taken. 40. Hey, that's an elite number, 40. I'll tell you that.
JJ brings up a good point. Are you predicting that the Eagles defense has a sucky day today? I mean, based on Russell Wilson's numbers, that would be pretty sucky.
20 of 26 for 221. They hold teams normally to what?
100 yards,
80 yards, 190 yards passing. I mean, he's only 40 over and 118. You guys give up 108. It's only 10 over the average. How is that really sucky? I mean, it's not really
fun.
I mean, that's not, dude. They give up 200 and they give up 190 yards passing. They give up 100, and I think it is Zander 5 yards a game now. So I mean, we're talking only 13 yards over. If Najee goes for 118, how you doing?
Anthony Wilson checks in. Appreciate you, Anthony. Appreciate everybody watching. Don't forget to hit that like button today. It's game day, everybody. And Sills will try and make you believe that our team sucks. Our team does not suck.
No, your quarterback does.
Okay. Anthony Wilson says, glad Sills is picking the Steelers. This guarantees an Eagles win. This guy's narcissism won't allow him to admit he's been wrong about the team all year.
I haven't been wrong about anything. You haven't won shit yet there, Anthony. All you've won is admiration of Zander and all the Jalenites. That's all you've won. You've won nothing. You're making it sound, hey, once again, you're Zander and everybody going halfway through Franklin Field there at the Penn Relays. Hey, everyone. Wait, you got to run through the finish line, don't you? Or no?
Anthony, are you won nothing? Anthony might be a Jalenite. Brian Pumper is the king of the Jalenites, okay? Brian Pumper is love.
He is. That's his trademark.
It's him. He owns the Jalenites. He says, does this team not remind you of the Blake Bortles Jaguars? Hurts is not good in his
team went to the AFC Championship game. Cook. Hey, that team went to the AFC Championship
game. I know. They had a pretty good record, didn't they, with Blake Bortles?
Dude, I think Bortles threw for 500 yards against the Steelers in a playoff game.
Look at this dude. Yo, Amber, I don't think Sills needs your protection, dude. I mean, what a cesspot this guy. Yo, Amber, you used to have good comments. Now you're just becoming a cesspot on the show.
Sander Maddow.
Q the God says, Rams, Bengals, Ravens, Commanders, all less than 20. Well said, brother. Well said. Well, I mean, what's your response? The defense held those teams with good quarterbacks and good passing games to under the 20.
And the Steelers have beaten all those teams except, they beat all them teams. How you doing? By the way, last 8 games, the Steelers are 7-1.
There you go. I like this comment here. Anthony says, I'm a fan of the Eagles, not names on the back. I'll take that, Anthony.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey.
A little Herb Brooks on this pregame show.
Holy
The one on
cow.
the front is of a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head. I love it. I love it.
Unless it's the Jalenites, right, Brian?
A checks and he says, "What's the news about Jalen's broken finger?" It's just
He's got a
non-throwing
sliver.
hand.
He's got a sliver, and the Jalenites are now coming up with like new excuses on why the kid's passing game sucks this year. Is because he's got a sliver on his non-throwing hand.
Oh God, it could be an impact today. I'll tell you what. With T.J. Watt, you got to watch out for that finger. I know it's not the throwing hand,
Handoffs too, Zander.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. I mean, it's a cold ass day in Philly for anybody that's in the area. Big Sales is secluded out in California, where him and all the liberals live. Him and Rachel Maddow are getting dinner. I heard on Sunday, and maybe tonight
I've
after
never
the
been
game.
compared to Rachel Maddow. That's the first hearing you were okay. I mean, even I'm gonna go. No, that's negative.
All right, so you're truly are predicting here that the Steelers win this football game. Is that what you truly believe, or do you want to be the villain?
No. Listen. Yeah, I'm going to go 24-21 Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Well, what's your score?
27-24 Birds.
Okay, gee. So it's a 4-point swing.
Yep.
Congratulations. We're way off.
I think the Eagles have the playmakers to make the plays in the fourth quarter. I don't think the Steelers do.
I think the Steelers have the playmakers on defense.
That could be true, but if I'm trying to pick,
I agree. There's more playmakers on the Steeler defense than there is.
No doubt about it. I don't think that's not even a competition. They got Patrick Queen at linebacker. They got Minkah Fitzpatrick at safety. They got T.J. Watt, Cam. I mean, they have beasts on that defense, no doubt about it. But look, you get into that fourth quarter game. I like Saquon Barkley. He's proven all year he is the best closeout player in the league. I'm not going to go away from that in Week 15.
Would this be a fair comment? Whoever has the most rushing yards between Harris and Barkley, the game's going to determine.
I think that could be a good comment. I think that could be a fair comment. We'll see how that plays out.
And the quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over.
Well, yeah, and that's going to be a big one today. Obviously, Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the best defenses in the league at creating turnovers, plus 16 in the turnover margin, tied for first in the NFL. They're beats. Let's get this last super chat here, and then we'll get out of here and get ready for the game. Game is about 25 minutes out, everybody, so enjoy the game today. It should be a good one. Brian says, predicting less than 100 yards passing for Hurts. All excuses built in for their precious Jalen. I will be proven right once again. Absolute fools.
My boy, Brian Pumper. God, man, I'll tell you what, when we have Sileo Palooza, we have you're going to be sitting right next to me, Brian. I absolutely
Brian
love it.
Pumper predicted this same shit last week, and then he also predicted that we would lose last week.
Yeah, but he also predicted that Hurts would suck last week, and he did. You did, Brian.
You're shooting 1 for 5 in the field. Congrats, 20%. Nice.
Yeah,
I'll take that one.
Your quarterback will be the one thing holding you back from going to New Orleans. But hey, don't worry, you could buy a plane ticket.
David Mack checks in. He says, Sileo, maybe in my 20s you could change my mind, but we keep getting that one metric that counts. Win. What metrics you get this week to bring the Eagles down? Wow.
No, it's not the Steelers. The Steelers have a better culture than you. Always have, always will. They've had it for 64 years. That's why there's only 3 coaches in the last 64 years that have coached that organization. That's why they have 6 Super Bowls and you have 1. Okay? Remember that. They have a 10-time better culture than you. And they will always, they're the gold standard on culture in the NFL. And it starts with the guy who's on the sidelines. And I'm going to tell you what swayed me. You know what swayed me? Like I said, if I'm storming the beaches of Normandy and Nick Sirianni is my general, I'm going to fucking turn around and get back on the boat. If I have Mike Tomlin, I'm charging the beaches and I'm getting on and I'm going there on the beaches of France and I'm storming those beaches.
The invasion of Normandy is here in Philly today. Brian Pumper says, Jalen hasn't had a good game since the Gettysburg Address. I like my odds.
Hey, since the Battle of Shiloh, Brian.
Man, you two got driving me fucking crazy, man. Like, this guy's not 45-19 winning football games left and right.
I love my Pumper.
Fan of Sills, you got to start admitting your L's.
Never. There's no L's here yet until guess when? February 13th, my friend. That's when the Lombardi Trophy gets hoisted up by a winner of a football team. There are no L's on December 15th. There's no such thing as L's. Only fanboys have wins and losses midseason. The midseason championship belongs to who? Here we go.
Boy, if you think Sileo is insufferable now, you better. If this team loses first round of the playoffs, we're done. All offseason, we are done.
Hey, I told you I was going to jump off the top rope if Hurts sucked this year in the passing game, and guess what? Whew, coming down with a big old elbow, man.
Oh, look at you taking a victory lap in the middle of the season. Let's finish this sucker out, all right?
Yeah, no, you're right. He's got 4 more games to kind of make it a little better.
I care about the playoffs. Let's be real here. We care about the playoffs. All right, Big Sil, that's it.
I moved on from 4,700 yards and 35 touchdowns. I'm now on the W's.
All right, Big Sil. Good show today, brother. I'll catch you on the post-game show.
Zander upset again like I did last week. I mean, he got really mad at me.
No, I mean, Kellen Moore is like your head coaching candidate in your eyes. The guy sucks.
Okay.
I took a 14 passing offense.
Wait a minute. So wait, you want him to throw a ball today? Is that what you want?
We'll see what happens today, all right? Birds are going to win. If the Birds win, will you be eating crow?
No.
Wait, let's just call a spade a spade. That'll be 12 wins on the year with 3 games to go, and you predicted 9 wins this year.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your crow is getting.
I've already told you you're a good team.
Is getting bigger and bigger.
I only eat 1 dish of crow every 7 years. I don't sit around passing those. Those are very rare dishes that I pass around. We don't just pass crow out like that. Okay. I've only had, maybe during the playoffs, we'll have a plate of crow, but Big Sills doesn't pass those out like merit badges when people are going, hey, I love Jalen. Well, maybe Jalen's not the guy. Oh, wait a minute. We got a conflict. Oh, Jesus. Stick to your guns like I do. Like the Battle of Navarro. That's what this is. The Battle of Pennsylvania, man. Get into the spirit, Zander. Come on.
I'm ready to win this football game. All right, Big Sills. Good show. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Hit that like button on the way out. We will be live at halftime with Johnny Mack and myself, and then on the post-game show with Big Sills, Big Z, and John McMullen will join from Lincoln Financial Field. So looking forward to doing that. Big Sills, great show today, brother. We will talk to you on the post-game show. Enjoy the game, everybody.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago, and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and Actually, 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. Other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES. Eagles.